came back. But I told my mother, I said, you know, the first thing I thought about when I thought I was dead, my mother, she goes, did you think about me? I said, no. Did you think about your daughter? I said, no. She goes, then what did you think about? I said, well, what popped in my head for some strange reason was I won't have to pay the electric bill this month. My mother just shook her head. And anyhow, the doctor came in and tried to explain to me what had happened, that I was now a diabetic. And he told me that my blood glucose level was over 1,300. And he said, Dwayne, we didn't expect you to make it. Your body was not responding to insulin. In addition to that, your body was not responding to heparin, which led to other complications, including deep vein thrombosis. So I had 2 major blood clot issues. So I asked the doctor, well, what specifically was the condition I had? And the doctor said, well, it's a little complicated. And I said, oh, okay, but what is the condition that I had? Well, Dwayne, I don't think you need to know that. I said, okay, could you at least give me the name of the condition I had? He goes, well, Dwayne, it's complex. I said, okay, I'm going to try this one more time. And I could tell he's getting a little perturbed. And he said, okay, Dwayne, I'll tell you what you had. You had a non-ketotic, hyperglycemic hyperosmolar coma. And I said, oh. And he kind of smiled. He goes, see, I told you it was complex. So he looked over at the nurse and said, nurse, write that down for Mr. McCulley so he'll remember it. And the nurse said, well, what was it that you said? So before the doctor could respond, I said, a non-ketotic hyperglycemic hyperosmolar coma. And doctor, oh, you one of them. I said, one of them? One of them what? You know. And he was a little perturbed because I had a lot of questions. And my daughter, Cynthia, Cynthia knew a lot more about food than I did. Because when the nurse came in and told me, yeah, Mr. McCulley, you're going to have to watch your carbohydrates. And I'm still a little foggy. And I'm listening, and I'm thinking, and I look over at my daughter, and I'm looking at the nurse. I'm thinking, what is a carburetor got to do with me being in this bed? And my daughter kind of rolled her eyes, and she went out and bought me a book. And I've read hundreds of books on diabetes, hundreds. And somehow, and I asked Cynthia, how did you happen to pick this one book that talked about diabetes at the molecular level? I think it was called Diabetes, the Insulin Control Diet by a Dr. Kowalski, I believe. And so he talks about diabetes at the molecular level, which was good for me because it allowed me to ask questions of the doctors. But they seemed to get more perturbed with me every time I would ask a question. Then I realized they can't help me. Now, I don't want anyone to get, I don't want anyone to think I have nothing against doctors. My personal care doctor, he's a great guy. But doctors are not equipped. They're not trained to handle type 2 diabetes. They're not trained to handle heart disease, cancer, stroke, arthritis, osteoporosis. These are all chronic diseases that break down the body. But we are good at some things in the United States of America. We're very good with drug treatment. We're very good with trauma. There is no other country I want to be in if I lose my head. Because in the United States of America, they can sew your head back on. And we have some of the best medical diagnostic technology.